All right, let's move on. How about we go to the third question and we start to land this plane? Any questions from you guys? Let me know if you have a youth ministry question. Feel free to go ahead and drop it in the chat there. If you're, like I said, if you're watching it later, you can always leave it in the comments. But if you have a question about youth ministry, have a question about planning, programming, any of the things, anything youth ministry related or ministry related, happy to answer the question if I can. Okay, so feel free to do that. I will see the question because I can see it right here, and I will jump right on it. Okay, all right. Last but not least is, what do you think about communion? Okay, what do you think about communion? What do you think about doing communion with the youth, Paul? Well, I got to say, I am for it. I seem to see some, difference of opinion, which is okay. Nothing wrong with a difference of opinion. Okay, that a difference of opinion is where you say, okay, some people say that only the youth should have communion with adults or in the main service or as a family time. Nothing wrong with that. The challenge that I have with that, which I am for it, I was in a church where we had communion first of all, I grew up Catholic, so I'm used to having communion every week anyway, growing up. Then I was in a church, a Pentecostal church, Assembly of God church, where we had communion every week for a very long time. And so we were participating in that. So I value communion. I think it's a sacrament. It's a staple of Christian faith. The challenge of doing it, for me at least, doing it only when the congregation does it, is that there's a lot of students who don't know what it is, who don't know the value of it, who don't understand what communion is all, and they're never going to show up on a Sunday for that communion service. And so I've had communion with students, and once again, I think you have to treat communion with absolute respect, right? So for me, if I'm with students who I think they're new-ish, I won't spring it on them per se. In fact, I would say, look, if you're unsure as to whether or not you want to take communion, go ahead and that's okay. You don't have to take communion with us tonight. If you want to take communion, you're welcome to do so, but let me explain, right? So if you're dealing with a group you've never done communion with youth before, take a week to teach on it. Take a week to really kind of break it down. Take a week to be able to explain to them, what exactly is going on here. Because if they don't know, and you start talking about the body and the blood of Christ and so forth, that to a new person, that's like, what are we talking about? Make sure you explain it well. Make sure you take time to really break it down and say, what is a communion for? Who is it for? Why do we do this? What are we celebrating? And it really becomes a great dynamic of discipleship, of worship, of that family time together amongst the group, sharing in something like that. So like I said, I think it's great, and I don't do it every week with my youth, but there are times that we do have it, and so I will make sure to explain to them and treat it with reverence and so forth, because you never want communion or anything like that to be disrespected or treated as common, right? You want them to understand the perspective on it. You want them to be able to do that, and so my encouragement is, yes, do it with youth, because I think it's an important element that a lot of students won't understand, and I think they need to see it in that element with their peers, so that they can understand it better and participate if they want to. We don't want them participating if they're unsure about it, if they don't know if they're a believer or not, if they don't know, and say, look, it's okay if you don't take it. In fact, we'd encourage you maybe not to take it if you're not quite sure in your faith yet. Take some time, right? And then the next time we have it, yes, participate with us. We think it's great. We think it's great that you want to participate with us. But I think it becomes a great teachable moment for the young people in your group to experience communion with you. And if you say, look, we're just going to do it with that, then that's fine too. Do it with the adults. That's okay too. Nothing wrong with that. But like I said, I am pro communion with youth. I have said it. That's it. I have come out with my take. Okay. It's not a hot take. I don't think. I think there's plenty of people that have communion with their youth. But anyway, yes, have communion with your youth. Okay.